Meet the Albertosaurus, also known as Alberto or Albert. It is a mid-tier sandbox carnivore that was never fully kitted out for survival gameplay before Legacy's eventual abandonment. It isn't selectable as a playable dinosaur on official servers, and due to this, not everybody knows about this guy. At full growth, it sits with a bite force of 424, with 10 bleed on each bite, and an overall health pool of 6,000. It is a decently strong and fast dinosaur, capable of engaging with dinosaurs of differing sizes and being a persistent threat. It can function pretty well both solo and in groups if in the right hands. The Alberto in time will likely be added into Everymer, but don't ask me when because I don't think even Dondi knows. But what is the current one like? How does it survive in Legacy? What role did it fill? And why does it look so damn good? Well, join me today for this dinosaur spotlight as we hope to answer some of these questions while we begin a new journey in an attempt to survive as one of the least known dinosaurs in the Isle. Our journey began in quite an empty part of the map, which I suppose is a good thing considering I have the PvP skills of a quadriplegic. This time round I decided to avoid twins altogether and head to somewhere less travelled instead. This ended up being the docks, which is located on the opposite side of the map. To add a little extra challenge, I didn't allow myself to use any maps to help me get there, and I relied on my own memory to get me to the location. This ended up leading to some unfortunate experiences, but before we get to that, let's take a closer look at the Alberto itself. The Alberto is quite a unique dinosaur in the Isle. Its strengths and weaknesses put it somewhere above the mid-tier carnivores such as the Yellow, but below the pseudo-apexes like the Acro. Somewhere in the same area as the Suco, but with more mobility at the cost of less health. When directly compared to some of the other mid-tiers, you can see it is substantially bigger, easily being the tallest of the majority, but still being dwarfed by something such as a T-Rex, and we aren't even going to bother bringing the Pue into the conversation. But we might be fighting one later. Speaking of fights though, before I started any of this ill-fated journey as Alberto, the night prior I gathered with the usual gang to help gather extra footage for this video, and it was during this time we decided to put on a little 3-on-1 match against our distant cousin the Rex, just for the funsies. This is how it went. Just keep in mind that none of the Albertos were fully grown during this fight. Moving on though, and aside from making a nice 3-course meal for an apex, the Alberto has some other cool features. That includes its incredible good looks. With its striking colours and patterns, the Alberto in my opinion is the Derek Zoolander of Legacy. I say he specifically because the female version is quite a bit different, looking like what you would get if you photocopied a slice of bread and slapped it on the texture and called it a day. Perhaps with the Albertosaurus, it's down to the male to serve looks. But back to the journey at hand, and I had already found myself near Gulf Pond, and this is where I took the opportunity to stay hydrated, as I wasn't sure where the next chance to drink would be. The Alberto gets thirsty pretty damn quick. The hunger drain on the other hand is pretty good, allowing you to go for long periods without being in danger of starving, making it an ideal pick for when you simply want to chill and explore until you get killed anyway. In terms of growing, the odds were in my favour, as Alberto growth starts from fresh adult, specifically 60% grown. This is a direct consequence of the game being abandoned before Alberto was balanced, and just like other sandbox dinos, the Alberto can't smell for water or food either. Staying on the topic of food and hunting, one of the Alberto's standout abilities is its decently fast ambush speed, allowing you to cover a lot of ground quite quickly whether you're chasing smaller prey or trying to save your own ass. Its stamina, however, takes its time to refill, so make sure you use it with discipline, and keep a safe distance from ambushing carnivores such as Rexes, as they will close the distance before you can say oops. So after some time travelling through the darkness after nightfall, I kept hearing the calls of various hunters around and it started to fill me with anxiety, so I made sure to stick to the tree line to avoid being spotted by something that could end me before I could reach full growth. This served me well until morning. However, my journey led me to a point where I had to enter the mouth of a valley, and unfortunately this led me straight to a group of mix packers, which included a Thery that was friendly enough to chase me down and kill me, because how dare I interrupt their dino chat room time.
I'm joking! No, stop!
But thankfully, for the first time in Dino Spotlight history, the Isle Gods decided to bless me this time with a respawn point that was actually closer to my destination, effectively cutting out a portion of my journey. This, however, didn't stop them from sending me a Juvie Rex my way to try and eat me before I could try and safe log to get a new Alberto. It wasn't captured, but he came back to finish me off right before I logged, so I did the respectable thing and politely murdered him once I returned as Alberto. Don't judge me for that one. Now with one death on the record for this journey and my patience significantly shortened, we now have to practice safe travelling. This means taking the least dangerous route to our destination and not taking any shortcuts. So obviously I used my high IQ and decided to descend a steep cliff. The absolute unforeseeable happened and I broke my leg and I had to take a recovery nap. I'm sure nothing else could go wrong. Let this be a lesson to you all that no matter where you are or what you're doing, there is always an ambushing Rex ready to ruin your day, especially if you kill their kids. So while the past me mourns the death of this second Alberto, let's have a look at some interesting facts about the real Albertosaurus. Albertosaurus lived between 73 and 69 million years ago in what is now south-central Alberta. It was a top predator in its ecosystem and was a close relative to the T-Rex, which appeared around 1 million years after the Alberto's extinction. It was a bit smaller than its other relatives and was roughly around 9 meters in size and had long, strong legs that suggested it was a fast runner. There's also good evidence that suggests that the Alberto displayed pack behaviour, as one dig site boasted a discovery of 26 individual Albertosaurus, all in close proximity. I wonder how many of those Albertos had broken ankles themselves. So let's get back to my brand new shiny Alberto number 3, and it seems like the Isle Gods still have gifts for me, as once again I've spawned close to my destination, but this time my patience was at an all-time low and I decided to outright buy an adult Alberto, as it was clear that I wasn't going to grow one before reaching my goal and it made me feel more safe. That safe feeling quickly drained away when I crossed paths with the same Rex that murdered me only a few moments ago. They appeared relaxed, but I didn't dare close the distance as I had now been hurt too often in one sitting. I had developed crippling trust issues, just like a gullible person on April Fool's Day. However, they proved to be trustworthy and they let me pass by with no more violence. As I reached the last stretch of my journey, I found the buildings that I was looking for that had the path that led straight to the port. It's moments like these that make me think about what the devs had in store for this area. Was it going to be used as a base for humans? What would its function be? Considering it's labelled as the barracks on the unofficial map, perhaps military. The area was quiet and void of any other players, perhaps because this section of the map is not that popular, or maybe it's because I'm the only player so far to make it through this gauntlet of dinosaurs that I've left behind. Make it being a rather generous way of putting it. The path was long and winding and had me travelling for so long that I had genuinely thought I had somehow double backed on myself. But eventually I found the gates to my destination. I had made it to port and I admired the unfinished human-made buildings in this area. It's almost like the devs put them there as a visual representation of the half-made game that they had left behind. I mooched around for a bit and then, as tradition demands, I looked for a place to end this Alberto's suffering. No big jumps to be had here though, so I had to opt for a good old-fashioned drowning, slowly losing air while paddling around, ready to sacrifice myself once more for the future blessings from the legacy gods. So this marks the end of the Alberto Spotlight. I hope you enjoyed this episode and perhaps learned something new about this playable in-game or in real life. This is normally when I wrap up the video, but I know you guys love seeing some actual action. So I've got a clip for you to enjoy to finish up this video. So thank you for watching, see you next time, and enjoy the hopeless fight.